You need to re-energize it and rejuvenate it. So too your heart. Your heart will also become tired, will also become exhausted. The Imam says to give life to it again. Allow it to rest and sleep. How? Not by just sleeping. Physical sleeping can of course help in the rejuvenation of this person's soul and a person's spirit. But what gives real life to a person, the food for the soul and the food for the spirit, is beautiful and wise sayings, that this heart receives that, this heart feeds on that, this heart digests that, and this heart is able to grow by being in presence of those things and achieving unity with these beautiful sayings. So, one point, again, in the assessment of what is our spiritual position, whether it's in a great state or whether it's in a poor state. Remember, we said one of the objectives that we have is to have assessment of ourselves. We need to have assessments of ourselves. Not only personally, but then allow a person who is a specialist and a person who has the sciences and has the knowledge of how to treat the soul, we also need to be in their presence as well. But in any case, you have to make sure that you're constantly feeding it with these things. One easy way is to be in presence and to be in the teaching of the sayings of the Ahlul Bayt. Have a book of hadith that you can refer to frequently. Read one hadith a day. On your smartphones, there are a number of applications that a person can have one hadith a day. Just have one hadith, read it and think about it. And see, trial and error. It's okay. Trial and error to see if it has some sort of an effect on you. If it doesn't, then put it aside and say these are wrong and say that the speaker lied to me and he was trying to fool me. That's fine. But try it in your life. If you feel like it has an effect on it, then continue as well. When it comes to the heart, there are different ways that the holy methodologies for us to be able to help give life to ourselves and give life to our families and our children. In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has this verse in Surah An-Nahl 125. He says, this is how I want you to invite people and educate people when it comes to their purposes in life and when it comes to caring for themselves and being able to help themselves excel. ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة. To invite to the way of Allah, invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom, بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة, with this maw'idah, with this advice which is a good advice, a good kind of advice, and a good kind of giving advice. So maw'idah is not absolutely good. It's good that you're sharing advice with someone, but how you share advice, which is what we're going to speak about inshallah shortly, will determine whether this is good advice or it's not good advice. So it's not always the content of what's being presented, it's how it's being presented that'll have the desired effect. So it's not me just knowing something and sharing something, it's how I share it that'll have that desired effect, and that's what will pull people in. Sometimes my advice can be ineffective, but at the same time I can say the same thing and it'll have massive effects. And I'll share a story inshallah just shortly of how the same statement, a person like me can say it and can have no effect on you. Absolutely no effect. And we have first-hand experience of that. It's been 6 or 7 nights. And sometimes the same statement a great scholar can make, and that one sentence is enough to completely destroy your world. It's to completely bring revolution to your heart. The Imam can make one statement and it can completely change your emotions. So there's a right way and there's a wrong way. ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. Indeed your Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and dispute with them first. This وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. If it comes to a point of disputing, dispute with them in the manner that is best. Indeed your Lord knows best those who stray from His way, and He knows best those who have been guided. Okay, with that said, when the Imam says, أحيي قلبك بالموعظة, to enliven your heart through admonition and through advice. So there's 2 styles of admonition we can have. Or there are 2 types of people who give us advices in our lives. We have one that we call the outer or external preacher, that someone or something outside of our own existence comes and teaches us something, reminds us of something, reconnects us with something, and they play the role of an advisor for us. We call that the outside, the exterior preacher. This can manifest in many different ways. Anything that a person can take lesson from, that becomes a preacher to them. We have this in hadith, that they say anything that a person can see with their eyes, within that there is advice. Within that there is maw'idah. There can come a point that a person can take lesson from everything they're in contact with. Everything. That we have in these statements where our ulama and our urafa and the mystics and those who have truly achieved proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they say that when they are in contact with everything that they see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything. You and I see this nature, we see this tree, we see this bird, we say, oh, it's nice, it looks nice, look at these beautiful colors. But that same person sees the same thing, but understands something different. So in this mu'idah, not only when the advice is given, but how that advice is received and how the lesson is taken is different. We need to try to build the ability for us to be able to take lesson and take advice the most effectively and the most efficiently, inshallah. So we'll discuss very briefly 3 certain ways that these people and these institutions can be preachers and reminders for us. And we need to have very, very strong connections with these. Very strong connections with these. Because the stronger the connection that we have, the more life we'll be able to give our hearts and our souls. And the more life we have within ourselves, the more effects we can have that are reflective of a human that has life and is alive. Right? We said, sometimes a person can be dead but living, and sometimes a person can be alive but dead. The Holy Imam, through his sacrifice, has died physically, but his life, his legacy, his message lives on, so he's alive. And a person can be alive but have no effect, no change, and hence they will be characterized as someone who's dead, because nothing comes of them, no effect comes of them. So the first of these 3 people or things that we need to learn from, and they are here to teach us. Not only do we need to learn from them, their objective is to teach us. The first is the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran is without a doubt not only acknowledged within the Quran, but in hadith that this Quran is a book of teaching, it's a book of advice, it's a book of preaching. In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, Surah Yunus, verse 57, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind, not O believers, O mankind, know this. قَدْ جَاءَكُمْ مَوْعِدَةٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. We have sent for you an advice from God, from your Lord. وَشِفَاءٌ لِمَا فِي الصُّدُورِ. And a cure for the diseases that you have within yourselves. The diseases that have developed within your nafs, within your soul, within your heart. This Quran is meant to first advise you, and through its advice it's meant to cure your illnesses. وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And after it has cured the illnesses that exist within you, this will guide you to those things that are correct, and it is a blessing for the faithful. Look at the linear progression that exists in how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presents this statement. First He says this is an advice for you, for all people. Then at the next stage He says that this is a cure for the illnesses that you have. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is already acknowledging that if a person is separate and distanced from the Holy Quran, certainly, undoubtedly, illnesses and diseases will develop in their hearts. So He's already taking into consideration that we have illnesses that need to be treated. So He says, this is an advice for you, listen to it. And by listening to it, I want to cure you. And when I cure you, what happens? You will be guided. And when you're guided, what will happen? This will be a blessing for you. So God's ultimate blessing is my and your guidance. Guidance towards what? Guidance towards those things which are most upright. Inna hadha al-Quran yahdi lillati hiya aqwam. That this Quran guides you to those things which are most upright. Most upright are what things? Those are those excellent things that we are striving towards achieving in our lives. Those things which are worth living our lives for and are worth dying for. Righteousness, honesty, justice, sacrifice. These are the things that we're striving in this lifetime to achieve them, and hence in the hereafter we can be proud of our achievements and say, I developed myself in a way that I am a just person, I am a truthful person, I am a fair person, I am an honest person. And if a person has truly built themselves, they should be proud of that. Not to become boastful, but a person should look and thank God for the accomplishment of development. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, through this advice, we start here and the end should be this. This should be the end product. If you take advice, the end product is that you will have been guided. And this is the biggest mercy I can give you. Among all the other things that God has given and has identified as His mercy, says this is a great mercy for you and a great blessing for you. So, in saying that, if the Holy Quran is meant to be an advisor to us, a preacher for us, what is the relationship we're meant to have with the Holy Quran? First, before getting into what our relationship should be, again, let's have an assessment of what our relationship is right now. It's critical that we remember this. It's critical that we make this a habit in our lives. And especially when it comes to religious issues, especially when it comes to community issues, especially when it comes to personal development issues. You cannot be indifferent when it comes to these things. I cannot afford to be indifferent when it comes to these things. Why? Because I can become forgetful, and before I know it, with the blink of an eye, it's ready for me to go in the grave. And this is the only opportunity I have within this world to develop myself. This is the world that I've been given the blessing of progression. The next life is a life that I feed off of what I have gathered in this world. So I have to always be aware of that. So what is my relationship right now? I'm going to assess for you. And I'm going to share with you my relationship, my personal relationship with the Holy Quran. My relationship with the Holy Quran is like this. I first of all have acknowledged that Quran is important to me. So I went and I've bought a Quran and I put it in my house. Then I remember that Quran is very, very respected and holy. So what I've done is I put the Quran on the highest level that I can in my bookshelf or in my house. Then what happens? I put it so high that this Quran continues to collect dust throughout the year. Then I remember this Quran is respectful and it should be respected. It shouldn't be collecting dust. So I bring it down and I dust it and I put it back up there. And then I see that it's collecting dust again. So I bring it down and I dust it and I put it up again. And then when it's time for me or my children to get married, I bring it down and I put it in the front and I take a picture and I put it back up again. And then it's time for the month of Holy Ramadan. Then I know I have to read some Quran, so I open it, I kill myself, and I read the whole Quran, and then I put it back up again. In reading the Holy Quran, and when I do, when someone dies, we bring the Quran and we read some of it. When someone is bored, we bring the Quran and we read some of it. Good, it's all part of my life. But how much have I learned from the Holy Quran? And especially how much more difficult it is for me that I'm not Arab speaking. And not only am I not Arab speaking, I don't speak the Arabic that was spoken 1500 years ago. I don't speak that language. Just like I don't speak the English that is spoken 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago. I don't know what I can't. So I have to work even harder to try to make sense of what's being said to me. So in putting all the effort, myself, of trying to have a relationship with the Quran, sometimes if I'm not careful, I feel that I'm respecting the Quran, but in reality I'm being neglectful of it. And hence the conclusion of something like that is in the Day of Judgment, the Holy Prophet, he is unhappy with me, he's displeased with me. We shared this verse, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِي اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ مَهْجُورًا. Their Qur'ans were the Qur'ans on top of their bookshelves. That's where the position of the Qur'an was for them. It's good. Look, this originates out of a sign of respect. You don't put the Qur'an up there because you disrespect it. If you disrespected it, you wouldn't have a Qur'an, first of all. Or if you did, you would throw it down in the basement somewhere in a box of books. No, you respected it to put it there. But have you taken this to the next level? When I read the Qur'an, do I know what I'm reading? This is a problem we have. This is a problem I have. And perhaps other people may also have this problem. That even when I find the time to read the Qur'an, I open it because my Qur'an is only Arabic. Or if it's Arabic and English or another language, I only want to read the Arabic because I'm short on time. So I read the Arabic as much as I can, quickly. Sadaqallahu al-aliyyul azim. If I ask myself, not if another person asks me, if I ask myself, what did you just read? The only answer generally I can give is, I read Qur'an. Do you know what you read at all? No. Why did you read it? Because it's a blessing. It's thawab. It's thawab. What is thawab? Thawab is what is correct. Thawab is what is just. So thawab is for me to read and not understand? No. That seems irrational. That seems illogical. Imagine if a non-Muslim, now again, this helps me in my assessment. Imagine if a non-Muslim came and observed me reading the Quran, okay? And they say, I'm reading it with such nice sawt and tajweed. Not me, but someone who has a nice voice. Such nice voice, so beautiful. What is it that you just read? I was so taken back by it. My emotions are... You say, I'm sorry, I don't know, because I don't speak the language. What if they ask me this and I'm an old man now? And my whole life I've been reading Quran, respecting Quran, but I don't know what the Quran's been saying. And the Quran is just kind of confused. So you put so much time to develop a relationship with me, but we're speaking different languages. We're not able to communicate with one another. So if you can't communicate with your doctor, with your physician, with the person who's meant to cure you, how are they meant to cure you? If I go to a doctor and I'm speaking another language and he's understanding another language, how is he going to be able to treat me? Yes, the Quran will itself naturally have an effect on you. Every aspect of the Quran has blessing and has an effect. They say looking at the Quran is blessing. Do it. It's not to say not to do it. That's the first step. To read it, you have to look at it, right? So you're looking at it and you're reading it. But what's the next step? You read to understand. You don't read because sawab. You don't read because sawab. No. This is an incentive. This is an incentive for a child like me, that when a parent wants to incentivize something for a child, for them to have an attraction towards doing something, then they say, here, this is a candy for you. And if you do this good thing, I'll give you this candy. Not to belittle sawab. But in some instances, that's what sawab is. God is saying that you want sawab. Here's a little candy for you. Come and read this, I'll give you candy, I'll give you sawab. You say, wow, I want that. Okay, now when you sit down and you say, whoa, candy, no candy. I don't want candy anymore. I've got the biggest candy here. I have the best food here. Then next time when they say candy, he says, no, I don't need that anymore. I've outgrown that. I've outgrown that you need to incentivize things for me. So the first step that we need to have is to understand the Quran. Whenever you read the Quran, however short you want our time, instead of reading 2 verses without translation, read 1 verse with translation. Read 1 page with translation. In the holy month of Ramadan, read 1 page with translation. Don't read 1 juz with no translation. So that's the first step. Read and understand, at least at the surface level, understand. Now that we've been successful in understanding, at least on the surface, what's being said, the next stage is you have to allow yourself to digest that. You have to reflect about it. You have to think about it. It's like a medicine that's being administered, okay? You've now put it in your mouth. You've taken it. Now you want this medicine to start working. The Quran has presented medicine to you. So you've read it and you've understood, wow, this is what I need. I have a bad headache. This will remove my headache from me. So not only do you have the medicine present now, hadith is to allow yourself to think about it. So the next stage, instead of reading 2 verses with the translation, it's 3 verses, no translation. 2 verses translation, make it 1 verse translation, and then spend a minute to think about it. Let your mind work. This mind is the most valuable thing that God has given you. It's the most valuable thing God has given you. It's invaluable. The intellect. This is what differentiates you and I from other creations of God. And when this begins to work, it comes to realizations that makes it obligatory for the angel of God that is constantly in the state of worship of God to prostrate to me. To me. But that's only if the mind and the intellect is working. Sometimes in our fast-paced, fast-moving lives, one thing that we're robbed from, one activity and pleasure of life that we're robbed from is the opportunity to just sit and think. We don't have time for that anymore. We don't have time for that anymore. Again, like we discussed last Saturday, sometimes all our life becomes is just going and coming from work and this problem and that problem and this issue and that issue, and not only do we not have time to think about the Quran, sometimes we don't have time to read the Quran. Because I have to work 15 hours a day. I have to work 11 hours a day. I have to go to this person's house and that person's house, and I have to go do this and that, and see this movie and that movie and this house party and that house party. Even if our time is limited, and sometimes it is. I'm not saying that if you're not reading an hour of Quran a day, then you're a bad person, your time management skills are poor. No, sometimes honestly your time is limited. No problem. But at least the opportunities that we do get, let us make the most use of them. A humble suggestion. When we come to the masjid is a house of worship. Without a doubt, it's a house of worship and a house of education. So when we come to the masjid, if it's possible, suggestion now, if it's possible, can we add the element of recitation of Quran collectively, and for us to all read translation and then think about it? Is it possible? When we go to a funeral, when we go to a Majalis, a Fatiha, instead of everyone just reading Quran, everyone should read, they want to complete the Quran, no problem. But instead of everyone reading and not knowing what they're reading, is it possible for us to sit and read and then discuss afterwards and think about what we've read? In the beginning of the Majlis, we're already reading Quran, right? And I think there are enough Qurans to go around. So everyone pick up a Quran. Where are we reading? Let's read together. What's the translation? One of the younger people can come and translate. And then we can all think about it for a minute or two until we transition, until we start our poetries, when we start our lamentations. It's okay. So even if we're living in a life, in a society that does not allow for us the luxury of sitting down, concentrate, it's okay. Let's make use as much as we can of the time that we do have. Try to be efficient with your time. Yes, driving, maybe you don't have the concentration. I've seen people sometimes do this. In Iran, I've seen a few cases of this myself, so I won't say this is everywhere, but I'm sure people like this exist all over the place. They have a mini Quran in their car, and I'm not saying we should do this now, okay? But I'm just trying to show the ambition that a person has. They have a mini Quran in their car. Whenever they come behind red lights, they know they're going to wait a minute, they pop it open and they read one verse. Okay, you may say that this is disrespectful to the Quran. You shouldn't be reading Quran when you're behind a traffic light. But just the fact that a person says, I want to be in the presence of the Quran, even this 30 seconds is valuable to me, it's important to me. But with this sort of an attitude, then you'll find, wow, I was short on time, but I'm finding all this time that I'm spending inefficiently in the house. I've watched the news, okay, after the first 3-4 stories, all these news channels just repeat. Instead of watching 10 news channels that say the same thing, I've watched 1 or 2 of them to get a balance of opinion, and for the rest of them, just read Quran for 5 minutes. It's okay. So reading, understanding, then reflecting on it. Through these reflections, we will actually grow. Right? When we're younger, we're spoon-fed. I have a trouble, my parent will come and spoon-feed me. But then after I grow, I can feed myself. So the things that we'll understand, our developments will really come through our own reflections. Your understanding of God, your understanding of the universe, your relationship with the Imam will be personal to you. There's nothing that I can give to you and you can receive it like that. It will be individual to you. And everyone is different in that respect. Finally, after we've done that, then we have to act upon it. Once I've been able to reflect and digest it, then I need to turn that into a form of action. And that's the objective of the Holy Quran, right? We said, Maw'idah, okay? What happens after you've been advised? After that turns into guidance. You're guided, you act upon it, and your life is changing now. And you're able to do those great things that great men of God are able to do. Great women of God are able to do. We're able to do those things now. I'm able to take a stand and say something when I see an injustice occurring. I'm able to control myself when my anger, my other shahwat, my other desires try to get a hold of me, try to take control of me, try to pin me to the ground. I have the ability now to say, no, I can stop it. I have control over myself. Salawat ala Muhammad. So the first avenue undoubtedly is through the Holy Quran, which should be the base. Then we have the Ahlul Bayt ﷺ, which are there to help us understand and to help interpret the Holy Quran for us. the advices that the Imams give, they're so great and so deep in teaching. Again, like we said, if we can expose ourselves to them as frequently as we can, the more beneficial it is for us. So I want to give one example of a piece of advice that Imam Hussein والسلام, gives to a person like me. Okay? A person who is indulging in sin came to Abu Abdullah and said, Imam, I have a problem. I can't stop. I can't stop sinning. What should I do? You're a doctor. You're my doctor. وَطَبِيبِ نُفُوسِنَا, right? So what should I do? What is your advice to me? The Imam says, I'll tell you this one thing, and if you do it, then you should be comfortable with what you're doing. So now see how the Imam is trying to help this person understand what you do. He says, if you can do these 5 things, I want you to continue the way that you're acting right now. And these are the 5 things now. The first thing the Imam says, do not use and do not eat from God's sustenance, from God's rizq. Don't eat from God's sustenance and sin as much as you like. You support yourself? It's okay. You're responsible to no one. Don't eat God's sustenance and feel free to do whatever you like, sin or no sin. Number 2, go outside of the realm of God's domain, where God has no authority anymore. If you're able to go there, feel free, do whatever you like. The third thing, if you're able to go somewhere that God cannot see and observe you, you're completely private, absolutely private. If such a place exists, go over there and feel free to do whatever you like. Number 4, when the angel of death comes, or if even the angel of death comes, we all know we're going to die. When the angel of death comes, tell him that no, don't take my soul, go. If you can do that, feel free to do whatever you want. And finally, number 5, if the angel of death comes, and now the angel of hell is going to throw you into hell for all the sins that you're committing, and you can stop him and say, you know what, I don't want to go to hell. I don't feel like going to hell. I want to go to heaven. If you can do that, then feel free to act however you like. So this is a person that's come to the Imam and asked for help and asked for advice. This is how the Imam has responded. He's not responded to try to belittle the person. What is he doing here? He wants to help a person think truly that although you're sinning, think about what the implications of these sins are. That look, of each of these 5 instructions that the Imam gives, he's touching on one point. That when you do sin, you're breaking some covenant that you have with God. And hence, you should find yourself in no position that would allow you to willfully and proudly sin. You make a mistake, you repent. That's different. Not that no person should ever sin or make a mistake. No, we make mistakes. That's a part of development. That's a part of growth. We fall down and we get up. We fall down and we get up. We have this in the sayings of our scholars. Even if you fall down 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, you have to get up. Because in that falling down and getting up is where we're growing. We will fall down. Sometimes we will fall down from great, and that falling will hurt greatly. It's okay. You have to get up again. Don't think that now I'm good, I'm never going to make a mistake. No. That's when you've blinded yourself. You'll fall, and you'll fall hardest. So the Imam gives advice like this. The Ahlul Bayt, their advice is full of these things. And finally, the last is through our scholars and true learned scholars. Scholars that are truly practicing and truly pious. We may expand on this in another night, but we have many narrations that speak about when a person's words originate from the heart and don't originate just from the tongue. If it originates from the heart, then it settles in the heart of the other person. But when it originates from the tongue, all it does is it reaches the ear of the person. And we all know, as kids say, right? In one ear, out the other. So a criticism unfortunately, of these perfect majalis, one of the reasons, probably the most important reason why we're not getting the most benefit out of it is because the person who is unfortunately presenting you, what he's presenting is not coming from the heart, it's coming from the tongue. And hence, if a person, it just goes in the ear and perhaps will not penetrate the heart. So my apologies for that. Okay, so that's the first level. A few points that we want to make when it comes to maw'idah and giving advice to ourselves and to our children and to our loved ones. These are points that we've seen in the Holy Quran and the Ahadith. Let us be conscious of them, inshallah. The first one, You have to know that we should advise people accordingly to themselves. Every person is different. Every person is in a different situation, in a different circumstance. There is not one way of treating every illness and every disease. Not every illness is caused by the same thing. Let us try to learn of what the problem is and try to address that. The next point, remember, if we can, try to keep advice as much as we can short and sweet. This is a story that I want to share from Allama Jafar Shushtari. They say he was a great scholar and a great pious and practicing scholar. Great man. He once in his trip to Tehran came and many people surrounded him. Many great dignitaries even surrounded him. And they asked him to advise them. And he didn't give a speech for hours and hours. Why? Because he has that power and that potential and that influence. He made one statement. He says, just remember this. Know that wherever you are, God is watching. And God knows those things that are within yourself. إِنَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِذَاتِ الصُّدُورِ. That's all he said. Know that God is watching over you. And in making that statement, the whole audience completely lost hold of their emotions. People were crying and wailing of one statement that this man makes. This is enough for a person who is practicing and is giving advice from his heart, from himself, that will have this sort of effect on the person. Next, be respectful. Let me not, through giving advice, try to belittle or humiliate or disrespect another. Remember the story of Hassanain alayhi salam. When they came and saw an elder man making wudu and there was some inaccuracy in his wudu, they didn't go and say that, you're an old man, you're making a mistake. They were very respectful and they were very smart and strategic in showing the error of the way of the old man. They asked him, we all know this story, they asked him, can you, as an older man, be the judge of who of us two young boys, are making wudu correctly and better? And the man looked at them, he observed them and says, both of you are making it correctly, I'm the one who has been in error here. So look, they've been able to advise him. Two young boys to an older man, it's okay, but they were respectful. If we're respectful, people will be accepting. If we're disrespectful, then people will not be accepting of that. Next, respect people's privacy. Don't in front of other people. You have good intention to give advice, don't do it in front of other people, in the presence of other people. Even when you're trying to advise your children, respect their privacy and don't advise them in the presence of their siblings. Unless you're trying to address all of them together, collectively. If one of them has an issue that needs to be addressed, don't do that in front of their siblings. It belittles them, it humiliates them, it makes them lose the trust that they have in you. And when they lose the trust, no amount of advice you can give them will have the desired effect. And they'll rebel, unknowingly, they'll rebel because they think through rebellion they can achieve happiness. Finally, to be patient and to be consistent is most important. We do not change overnight. Our children don't change overnight, for the good and for the bad. Your child doesn't become a great child in one night, in one sitting, in one majlis, in one act of parenting. And at the same time, I say these because we have too many cases of parents coming and saying, I don't know what to do with my child. That in a majority of cases, or many cases, we don't want to speak in absolutes, and in many cases, this deterioration has not happened overnight. It's not one night, one event that they went somewhere and something happened. This has consistently been happening. But unfortunately, it's been happening under my radar and under your radar. We are sometimes naive in the decisions that we make as parents. If you want to send your child to an environment that will be challenging to them, have you prepared them? Have you equipped them with the arsenal that will allow them to protect themselves? If you're sending your children to high school that is very challenging in this country, it's morally very challenging. I don't know how it is in this area, but many other high schools around this country are challenging environments for young Muslim kids that want to be true to their faith. If they want to have nothing to do with religion, sure, there's nothing wrong with it. But if they want to preserve their faith, it's challenging to them. It's challenging for the boy, for him to be proud of his religion, to be proud of his ethnicity. It's difficult for your daughters, for them to be proud of the hijab that they wear. They're pressured, they're bullied, for them to remove the identity that they have. The peer pressure that we're talking about. So when your child is going through these changes, that's when we need to be there to make sure that we're there to help them, support them, and hold their hands. Not when it's too late. You've sent them to colleges far from you, where you don't have connection to them. All with what reason? So they can get a good degree from a good school. That intention was virtuous. Allah knows it was. We should be the best in everything that we do. But at what price? If you feel like they're developed and prepared, Bismillah. They need to stand on their own feet. You shouldn't baby your children forever. You shouldn't coddle your children forever. But at the same time, you should allow them to be able to stand on their own feet. When they have, then let them go in the real world. And then have that full trust in them. Until that point, they're still developing. And you need to watch over them as a person and as an entity that is developing. They need supervision and they need constant fixing. Final point, inshallah, we'll end with this. Not only did we have an outer preacher that we said, an external preacher and a person that gives advice, finally we have an inner preacher as well, that perhaps is the more important of the two preachers. We have in narrations from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam that they instruct us that the outer preachings that we have and the outer advices that we have, all of them are meant to develop your own inner preacher, your own nafs. The nafs that we spoke about, the nafsul lawama, the self-critical soul, the soul that can stop you and say, this is wrong. Say, this is right, you need to do it. All of that, the Quran, the Ahlul Bayt, the scholars, your parents, everyone, is to help develop you as a person. So independently, you are sufficient in holding firm and holding strong in the things that you believe in. Why? Because those external entities may not always be with you when you need them. At school, you may not have access to the Quran there to take lesson from it. What should I do? You don't know. If the inner soul, if the inner preacher is strong, right there it'll tell you, this is wrong, stop. This is right, do it. When we're at work, we're faced with decisions, we don't know sometimes what to do. We don't have access there to call, oh, what should I do right now? No, split second. Are you going to do it or not? We're all going out for dinner and having a drink. Are you going to come or not? You don't have time to let me call my religious scholar right now and see what he thinks about it. No, your inner preacher will say, absolutely not. This is a red line. You'll explain yourself and people say, oh, okay, excellent. Yes, of course, I respect that. So all of it's to develop that inner preacher. This narration from Nahj al-Balagha again. This is number 89 now. We had 91, this is 89. Man aslaha ma baynahu wa bayna Allah, aslaha Allahu ma baynahu wa bayna al-nas. If a person is able to behave properly in the manners that he has with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will make good and he will keep proper the manners that a man has with the other people, with society. So your connection with God, if that's taken care of, God will take care of the connection that you have with other people. Now look, in all places God will make it easy for you. In all places, Muslim, non-Muslim. Muslim, non-Muslim. Islamic country, non-Islamic country. Doesn't matter where you are, God will take care of you. وَمَنْ أَصْلَحَ أَمْرِ آخِرَتِهِ أَصْلَحَ اللَّهُ لَهُ أَمْرَ دُنْيَاهِ. A person who keeps proper the affairs of his next life and the hereafter, God will take care of him in this world. And finally, وَمَنْ كَانَ لَهُ مِنْ نَفْسِهِ وَاعِذْ كَانَ عَلَيْهِ مِنَ اللَّهِ حَافِظ. A person who is a preacher for himself or herself, that person is protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that inner wa'id, the inner preacher, is the one that will be the protection for you and I when we're in positions and in circumstances that we are challenged and need to make the right choice. Our scholars say that those people who rejected and denied the call of the Holy Imam was because they didn't have that inner preacher to them. Because if that was strong, what would happen? When the Imam is making the statement, is there no one to help me and support me? I am the grandson of your Prophet. The same Prophet that said, I am from Hussein and Hussein is from me. The inner preacher, if it's alive, it becomes that. What is he saying? Is that really correct? Yes, it is. How can I be standing in a position that I want to now spill his blood and kill him? The inner preacher will take over and the person would make a switch, like some people did on that day. So So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us develop our inner preachers through the connection that we have with His outer preachers, through the Holy Quran, through the Ahlul Bayt, and through our scholars, inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If it's possible to just dim the lights, we'll recite a few minutes of Nasiba. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فرجهم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعل الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. All together. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. يا مولاي Ya Aba Abdullah, night after night, we remember your companions and loved ones as we come closer to the day of Ashura, the grand day of sacrifice. We are in remembrance of your holy companions. Ya Hussein, tonight we remember a very important companion and loved one of yours. This young man was the first of the Ahlul Bayt and of the Bani Hashim to request your permission and go into battle. Assalamu alayka يا أول قتيل من نسل خير سليم من سلالة إبراهيم. يا أول قتيل من نسل خير سليم من سلالة إبراهيم الخليل. صلى الله عليك وعلى أبيك إذ قال فيك قتل الله قوما قتلوك. يا بني ما أجراهم على الرحمن وعلى انتهاك حرمة الرسول على الدنيا بعدك العفاء. After all the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein on the day of Ashura went to battle and achieved martyrdom, it has been narrated that the first person to go to battle from Bani Hashim was the light of Hussein's eyes, his dearest son Ali al-Akbar. Ali al-Akbar goes to his father and requests permission for battle. They say as Abu Abdullah was giving permission to Ali al-Akbar, he took one long last look at Ali and began to cry and weep. This is his son, this is his everything. Fathers, imagine if your son came to you one last time to bid his farewells. It is narrated from Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam. They asked the holy Imam, what is the greatest pleasure for a father? The Imam responded, the greatest pleasure for a father is to raise his child
And after this child has grown up, just to see his child, just to look at his child and take pleasure at looking at his young son. The most pleasurable thing for a father is to look for a son that he's raised all these years. Then they asked the Holy Imam, what is the most difficult thing for a father? He said, the most difficult thing is to see this same young child die in front of the eyes of his father. Wa Husayna, Wa Husayna, Wa Husayna. Hussein alayhi salam knows that Ali al-Akbar is returning once he bids farewell. Ali, how can you leave your father's side and leave him alone? The Holy Imam cries, Allahumma ashhad, faqad baraza ilayhim gulamun, ashbahu an-nasi khalqan wa khulqan wa mantiqan bi rasulik. كنا إذا اشتقنا إلى نبيك نظرنا إلى وجهه. Ya Allah, I want you to be my witness. I am sending a young man to battle with these infidels and with these enemies. This young man was the most like the Holy Prophet in his handsomeness, in his character, and in his speech. Whenever we were eager to be reminded of the Holy Prophet, we would look at the face of Ali al-Akbar. At this time, Ali al-Akbar went into the battlefield, cried and roared like a lion, and began attacking the enemies with these war cries. أنا علي بن الحسين بن علي نحن وبيت الله أولى بالنبي تالله لا يحكم فينا ابن الدعي أطعنكم بالرمح حتى ينثني أضربكم بالسيف وحامي عن أبي ضرب غلام هاشمي علوي. They attacked the enemies. Ali al-Akbar attacked the enemies several at a time, killing a very large number of these enemies. Even as they continued to regroup, Ali al-Akbar would still prevail over them. He killed many of these enemies. In some narrations, they say Ali killed over 120 soldiers of these enemies. But as Ali continued, the thirst began to overtake him and cried, Ya abati al-'atash qad qatalani. Oh my father, the thirst is killing me. وثقل الحديد أجهدني. And the heaviness of my weaponry is hurting me. فهل إلى شربة من ماء سبيل نتقوى بها على الأعداء. Oh my father, is there not even a cup of water for me and you to fight with these enemies? إمام الحسين فبكى الحسين عليه السلام وقال. Hussein begins to cry in response to Ali al-Akbar. يا بني قاتل قليلا. يا Ali al-Akbar, I have no honor to give you. Fight and continue fighting for a short while. Shortly you will be reunited with your holy grandfather, and he will give you a drink that after drinking there will be no thirst. Ali al-Akbar continued fighting with these enemies of Allah. Some have narrated that when Ali was fighting, one of the enemies came and pierced the back of Ali with his spear. Then they struck Ali in his head with the sword. They say the strike of the sword split open the head of Ali al-Akbar. They say that Ali lost control of his horse. He fell forward onto his horse. His horse then became blinded by the blood of Ali al-Akbar. Then instead of this horse returning to the camp of Hussein, being blinded, it went further into the enemies. Then the enemies began and proceeded to strike the body of Ali. فَقَطَعُوهُ بِسُيُوفِهِمْ إِرْبًا إِرْبًا. They cut the body pieces. Ali al-Akbar cries, Ya Abata alayka minni salam. Oh my father, my last farewells from me. هذا جدي يقرئك السلام ويقول لك عجل القدوم علينا. I see my holy grandfather here. He is calling for you to quickly join us. Imam Hussein calls out to the tents. احملوا أخاكم. Come, the family of the Holy Prophet. Come and collect the body of Ali al-Akbar. لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم العز الأجل أكرم إلهي بحق الحسين وعلي الأكبر. يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. وكفنا يا قاضي الحاجات ويا كافي المهمات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والنصر وجعلنا من خير أنصاره وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه. Ya Allah, we ask you by the blessing of this night, the remembrance of the sacrifice of the light of Hussein's eyes, Ali al-Akbar, that you hasten the reappearance of our holy Imam. Ya Allah, we ask you by the blessing of this night to give good health and a long life to all of our Maraja, all of our leaders, all of our scholars, all of those who serve your religion. Ya Allah, we ask you by the blessing of this night, the night I remember the hardship and pain of Hussein, seeing his son being slaughtered in front of him. Ya Allah, remove all the oppressions and hardships from all of those who are being oppressed in this world, especially our Muslim and brothers and sisters all across the world, and especially our Shia brothers and sisters. Ya Allah, we ask you by the blessing of this night to bring good health and remove illnesses from all of those who are ill, especially our loved ones. Ya Allah, we ask you to make us, to make our families, to make our children of the true lovers and true followers of the holy Imam of our time. Ya Allah, we ask you to make us, to make our Majalis, to make our community a community that you are pleased with and the holy Imam of our team is pleased with. بالنبي وآله رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات. يا حسين 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 नहीं पढ़ना नौहाली अकबर का आसान नहीं पढ़ना नौहाली अकबर का आसान नहीं पढ़ना नौहाली बरका सरवर से कोई पूछे मरना अकबर का लैला ने कहा रो गई किस तरह करूं रुखसत लैला ने कहा रो गई किस तरह करूं
मैं देख के जीती हूँ चेहरा अली अकबर का। 18 बरस जिसने पाला अली अकबर को, है देखे वो पी कैसे लाशा अली अकबर का। दहलीज पे सर रखे आंसू लिए आंखों में, अरे बीमारी बहन देखे रखता अली अकबर का। लैला ने कहा सुगरा अकबर तो नहीं पलटे, अरे तस्कीने को लाई हूँ अरे कुर्ता अली अकबर का। या शाह नजफ बढ़ गई बस आप सहारा दे। या शाह नजफ बढ़ गई बस आप सहारा दे। सरवर से नहीं उठता लाशा अली अकबर का। या हुसैन 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 या हुसैन। आशिक बई पे शाह जब पहुँचे दिल को हाथों से थाम कर बोले तेरी फुरकत में अली अकबर आग दिल में मेरे लगा दी है। आग दिल की बुझाऊं मैं कैसे, आग दिल की बुझाऊं मैं कैसे, तेरा लाशा उठाऊं मैं कैसे। अकबर मेरा शेर आला अकबर, अकबर मेरा शेर आला अकबर। जख्म दिल के दिखाऊं मैं कैसे, जख्म दिल के दिखाऊं मैं कैसे, तेरा लाशा उठाऊं मैं कैसे अकबर, मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर, अकबर मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर। तू है कड़ियन जवानी है बेटा, बाप तेरा ज़ईफ़ है कितना, दूर आँखों का हो गया रुख तुझको आता नजर नहीं खेमा, लेके खेमों में जाऊं मैं कैसे, लेके खेमों में जाऊं मैं कैसे, तेरा लाशा उठाऊं मैं कैसे अकबर, मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर, अकबर मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर। जिसने 18 साल पाला था, कैसे देखे वो तेरा लाशा, तेरी शादी का था जिसे अरमा, कैसे झेलेगी वो तेरा सदमा, तेरी माँ को बताऊं मैं कैसे, तेरी माँ को बताऊं मैं कैसे, तेरा लाशा उठाऊं मैं कैसे अकबर, मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर, अकबर मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर। देख आया है तासीदे सुगरा, राह तकती है वो दुखी बहना, तुझको बीमारी ने बुलाया है, वादा सुगरा का क्यों बुला डाला, हम ये दिल से लगाऊं मैं कैसे, हम ये दिल से लगाऊं मैं कैसे, तेरा लाशा उठाऊं मैं कैसे अकबर, मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर, अकबर मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर। लुत्फ जीने में अब कहाँ अकबर, दिल से उठती है ये फुकाक अकबर, सुबह आशूर दी थी जो तूने, खून लाएगी वो अकबर, तेरी सूरत भुलाऊं मैं कैसे, तेरी सूरत भुलाऊं मैं कैसे, तेरा लाशा उठाऊं मैं कैसे अकबर, मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर, अकबर मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर। ऐसी गुर्बत में मुंह नहीं मोड़ो, मैं हूँ तन्हा मुझे नहीं छोड़ो, क्या गुजरती है बाप के दिल पर, गमज़दा दिल को यूं नहीं तोड़ो, अपनी गुर्बत बताऊं मैं कैसे, अपनी गुर्बत बताऊं मैं कैसे, तेरा लाशा उठाऊं मैं कैसे अकबर, मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर, अकबर मेरा शेर हवाला अकबर। जबली अकबर सा बेटा शाह को रब ने दिया, इस अताए किबरिया पर कर बला ने दी सदा माँ और अली अकबर की माँ, माँ और अली अकबर की माँ, माँ और अली अकबर की माँ। उसका माथा चूमती थी उम्मे लैला बार बार, उसका चेहरा देख कर कहती थी ऐ परवरदिगार, ये बहारे जिंदगी है, ये मेरे घर की बहार, ये मेरी पहली तमन्ना, ये मेरे दिल का करार। माँ और अली अकबर की माँ, माँ और अली अकबर की माँ। काली डोरी बांधती नन्ही कलाई में कभी, नन्हे सीने पर कभी करती थी दमना दे अली, कहती थी मुरझाए ना मौला मेरे दिल की कली, ये दिल शबीर है, ये है हमारी जिंदगी। माँ और अली अकबर की माँ, माँ और अली अकबर की माँ। घुटनियों चलने लगा जिस वक्त उनका शीर खार, साफ करती अपने आंचल से वो उसकी रह गुजार। ए खुदा ना खास्ता चुभ जाए ना बच्चे के हार, चलते चलते जब वो थकता पुश्त पे करती सवार। माँ और अली अकबर की माँ, माँ और अली अकबर की माँ। सब फनूने हर्ब सिखलाते थे अब्बा से जरी, सहन में कुर्सी बिछाकर माँ भी अक्सर देखती, मश्क के दौरान एक दिन यूं ही नेज़े की अली, छू गई सीने से लैला बेखशी तारी हुई। माँ और अली अकबर की माँ, माँ और अली अकबर की माँ। एक वो दिन था कि जब बरछी जरा सी छू गई, उम्मे लैला कांप उठी और गशी तारी हुई। एक ये दिन है मैदाने करबला देखे कोई, है जिगर के पार नेज़ा और माँ है देखती। माँ और अली अकबर की माँ, माँ और अली अकबर की माँ। क्या खबर थी उम्मे लैला को वो दिन भी आएगा, क्या हकार मान दिल का दिल में ही रह जाएगा। लाश कासिम की तरह टुकड़ों में दिल बट जाएगा, नौजवां की लाश पे सहरा सजाया जाएगा। माँ और अली अकबर की माँ, माँ और अली अकबर की माँ। उम्मे लैला दिल संभालो अर्श से आई सदा, बरछियों की सेमत जाता है तुम्हारा मैलका। यूं करो रुखसात के जैसे हो समा बारात का, खाक में मिल जाएगी लैला शबी है मुस्तफा। माँ और अली अकबर की माँ, माँ और अली अकबर की माँ। इस तरह रेहान हो उस गुफ्तगू का अब बयां, और तेज जब शाम की कहती थी लेकर हिचकियां, जिस जगह कानों के नेज़ा पर हुआ है सरया, उस जगह से पहले या रब मर गई हो उसकी माँ और अली अकबर की माँ और अली अकबर की माँ।
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. Our condolences to Bibi Fatima Zahra, salam alayhi. Salawat wa salam aapke ya Fatima Zahra, salawat wa salam aapke ya Fatima Zahra. हम आए हैं पुरसे के लिए फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आपके या फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आपके या फातिमा ज़हरा। हम आए हैं पुरसे के लिए फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आपके या फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आपके या फातिमा ज़हरा। हम आए हैं पुरसे के लिए फातिमा ज़हरा, हम देते हैं पुरसा तुम्हें अब्बास जरी का, हम देते हैं पुरसा तुम्हें अब्बास जरी का, और अकबर दिल गिर गया फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा। हम आए हैं पुरसे के लिए फातिमा ज़हरा, बवाल किया हास में बेकस की लाश को, बवाल किया हास में बेकस की लाश को, कुबरा को बेरा किया या फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा। हम आए हैं पुरसे के लिए फातिमा ज़हरा, बेड़ी बिनाए थोड़ी बदन जख्मी कर दिया, बेड़ी बिनाए थोड़ी बदन जख्मी कर दिया, सज्जाद पे ये जुल्म किया फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा। हम आए हैं पुरसे के लिए फातिमा ज़हरा, अब्बास जो लश्कर का तसरवर के अलमदार, अब्बास जो लश्कर का तसरवर के अलमदार, दरिया पे उसे कत्ल किया फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा। हम आए हैं पुरसे के लिए फातिमा ज़हरा, अब्बास जो लश्कर का तसरवर के अलमदार, अब्बास जो लश्कर का तसरवर के अलमदार, दरिया पे उसे कत्ल किया फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा। हम आए हैं पुरसे के लिए फातिमा ज़हरा, कानों से सकीना के उतारे गए गौहर, कानों से सकीना के उतारे गए गौहर, ज़ैनब की बिछीनी है रिज़ा फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा, सलवात व सलाम आप पे या फातिमा ज़हरा। हम आए हैं पुरसे के लिए फातिमा ज़हरा, या हुसैन, 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 या
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alayka ya Mawlay ya Aba al-Billah. Assalamu alayka wa ala al-arwah allati hallat bifna'ik wa ana akhtabir ahlik. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار لا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى آل الحسين عليك يا مولاي يا قريب الغرباء ويا معين الضعفاء والفقراء السلطان أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان الأمان 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 من الفتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن يا قاطع البرهان يا إمام الإنس والجان ويا خليفة الرحمن عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل مخرجك وجعلنا من أنصارك وأعوانك. والسلام عليك وعلى آبائك الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أمك فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. والسلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم اذكر وليك المستجب الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آله في حاضر الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا.